Alright, I think that we're pretty much done with the first texture. So now all we need to do is just to I guess first we can do some poly painting inside ZBrush. So let's just add some textures to use with spot white. So for this one I think these two should look pretty good. First I'm gonna save because yeah, it's a good idea to save often. And now just turn off the alpha, switch to freehand or dots, switch off the Z-add and turn on the RGB and just make sure that the poly paint is turned on. Okay. So now let's select this one first. Now the poly painting again won't be 100% tileable at first, but we're gonna fix that really easy inside Photoshop, so don't worry about that. Okay, so now let me just paint some more interesting details here to match the crack on the texture with the crack that we created on the plane. Okay, so now we can just export this plane as a high poly. Okay, so now that we're finishing exporting the high poly, let me just see something. Yeah, as I thought. Remember while we were sculpting the rock prop, I told you that it's always a good idea to check the for button, because sometimes ZBrush shows you improperly in the viewport your object. It turns it upside down. I have no idea why, but it's really annoying. So now, as you can see, actually our plane is positioned relative to the floor this way. It's upward, it's upside down, all these details that we sculpted. Not that it looked bad, but if you want to fix this, the quickest way to do that, it's just to go here on the deformation tab and on rotate, just click on the rotate once and then just tap 180 degrees and press enter. Alright, so now you're sure that your plane is facing the proper direction and the normals won't be baked from the wrong direction. So now we're gonna export again the high poly. Okay, so we exported the high poly and now it's turn to export the low poly. So the way to do this, you just click again here in the toolbar, the tool window, and just select again plane 3D, make it polymesh 3D, and just export it as a low poly. Now what we need to do is just start X normal and bake the maps that we need. So we're gonna bake diffuse, specular, normal, and height map. That later we're gonna use for displacement. So Again, let's remove the previous mesh, and again, since the size of the plane inside ZBrush is pretty small, we need to again adjust the mesh scale inside XNormal. So I'm gonna put a 10 value. For now, I'm gonna click ignore per vertex color. We're gonna uncheck it at the end just for the diffuse map. Okay, so now we need to again click here on the ray distance calculator to get the proper values for the baking of the maps. I'm gonna pause the video and I'll get back when I waited like a minute to get the proper values. Okay, so now that we copied the correct values, we need to check which maps we want to bake. So first we're gonna bake the normal map, the ambient occlusion map, and I'm gonna just uncheck the vertex color, we don't need it yet. And to get a displacement map inside XNormal, you only need to check this height map here. So what should the texture size be for this texture? It's tileable, so it doesn't need to be that high res, but still I prefer to have something like 2K just in case. You can always scale it down if you want, but I think 2K it's good, since we're not gonna tile it too much, because we want to have this feeling of really big authentic stone details on the walls of the cave. So I'm just gonna put some name for the files, and again I'm gonna pause the video since we don't have to wait for the baking of the maps. And then I'm gonna bake the diffuse map by again unchecking this ignore per vertex color, and then we'll continue with the tweaking of the textures inside Photoshop.